Good evening, everybody. We begin tonight with breaking news involving the prosecution of deep state actors. Attorney General William Barr today giving a pass to former President Obama and Vice President Biden, saying there is nothing he has seen in John Durham's investigation to suggest any wrongdoing of either former President Obama or former Vice President Biden. Barr told reporters he has a, quote, general idea of how Durham's investigation into Obamagate and the conduct of the Obama-era intelligence community is going, and he confirmed, quote, some aspects are being investigated as potential crimes, end quote. He did all this standing next to FBI Director Christopher Wray today. The Attorney General suggested there's no evidence that there will be a criminal investigation into either Obama or Biden. But why is the question, obviously, after the Attorney General made that statement. While the Attorney General says potential crimes by members of the deep state are under investigation, it seems to be happening at an extraordinarily slow pace, even by DOJ standards established by the Obama presidency. Former CIA Director John Brennan says he has yet to even be interviewed by Durham.
I welcome the opportunity to talk with investigators. I have nothing to hide. I have not yet been interviewed by any of those individuals involved in this matter.
It's unclear what Attorney General Barr is achieving by taking such measured, labored actions. It is his Department of Justice, however, that seemingly continues to play cover for the deep state, refusing to prosecute.
What happened to the president in the 2016 election and throughout the first 2 years of his administration was abhorrent. It was a grave injustice, and it was unprecedented in American history. As to President Obama and Vice President Biden, whatever their level of involvement, based on the information I have today, I don't expect Mr. Durham's work will lead to a criminal investigation of either man. Our concern over potential criminality is focused on others.
Trump, who has said he believes everyone involved in the efforts to overthrow his presidency should be going to jail. He had this reaction to his Attorney General's comments just moments ago.
Former FBI Director James Comey for leaking memos with classified information, refusing to charge former FBI Deputy Director and then Acting Director Andy McCabe for lying to investigators. And it was Barr who praised former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, despite Rosenstein helping to launch the Mueller witch hunt, which was fraudulent from the very beginning. And he also played a role in the sweetheart plea deal for former Senate aide James Wolf. Wolf did serve just 2 months in prison, leaking the Carter Page FISA warrants to the left-wing media. President Trump.
I think Obama and Biden knew about it. They were participants, but so I'm a little surprised by that statement. But if it was me, I guarantee they'd be going after me. In his case, they're not. So I think it's just a continuation of a double standard, no doubt, that Obama and Biden were involved. And as to whether or not it was criminal, I would think it would be very serious, very, very serious. It was a takedown of a president, regardless of me. It happened to be me. And in my opinion, it was an illegal takedown. And but I'm going to let the Attorney General make all of those decisions.
The president being straightforward as always, his Attorney General not quite. President Trump's search for truth and justice also placing additional pressure on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. In a weekend tweet, the president allowed them to both know that time is running out and that they must hold the corrupt Obamagate actors accountable for their conspiracy to overthrow his presidency. Joining me now is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. And Tom, let me begin by asking, could be assembled that would form a special counsel that isn't already sold out to the establishment, isn't already sold out to the deep state. And by the way, when I say the establishment, I'm talking about both political parties. And as you point out, the Republicans have played fools. This Attorney General wants to be very careful of this election. Was anyone very careful in 2018 as the Democrats stole a midterm election by pushing the special counsel, the entire effort to overthrow the presidency of President Trump? I mean, this is outrageous. And to behave is inexplicably as a dullard, I don't understand what this Attorney General thinks he's accomplishing. Is he somehow preserving some sort of claim of innocence for when he meets at the dining room of his favorite club in Washington? Is he afraid of the swamp? What in hell is going on here?
And this comes as the Democrats are telling the Supreme Court in a brief file today that they're still pursuing impeachment against the President of the United States. Look, the impeachment of Trump was about protecting Biden from being investigated over his Burisma dealings and the China deal. Is Barr ruling that out in terms of investigation? It sure sounds that way. It is exceedingly frustrating, and I've been long convinced that if the president wants justice, he's going to have to do it himself, meaning he can't rely on these deep state agencies. He can appoint a special counsel. They can bring investigators outside of the Justice Department to do this, outside of the FBI to do this. We shouldn't be surprised the FBI and DOJ
Where are you going to find
themselves.
an honest? Where are you going to find an honest attorney right now in the United States? Answer
Well,
that
you have
question.
You have one representing General Flynn, for instance.
Okay. Well, I agree. Where else are we going to find these attorneys?
They are there.
The point I'm making here, Tom, is the judiciary is as corrupt as hell. Judge Sullivan, you go through the list. What this president has had to put up with from the federal judiciary is plain and simple subversion. Straightforward, unabashed, and in our faces. What he has had to put up from the Department of Justice. None of this is new to you, but the reality is that our legal system, and I'm including most of the attorneys in this country who are practicing law before the federal bar, are scared to death to speak straightforwardly about a federal district court judge. They tremble, most of them. There are exceptions and rare ones, and we applaud them. But my God, what we're dealing with in this country right now, as you say, I mean, the House Judiciary proceeds with its impeachment inquiry, and we have an Attorney General stand up and say, well, you know what, that's just fine. Run over me like the doormat that I intend to play going into the presidential elections in November. This is madness, and it is basically an invitation to more subversion.
And they are literally still protecting the whole gang. They're hiding text messages, they're hiding emails, they're slow walking the release of emails. The State Department is hiding the Burisma documents on Biden and everything that went on with the Ukraine conspiracy against President Trump. And right now, they still are defending Hillary Clinton, believe it or not. So it's no surprise that the Justice Department that is defending the president's persecutors are suggesting that they won't do anything serious in terms of criminal prosecutions. There may be an FBI agent here and there who's prosecuted, maybe Peter Strzok, maybe Mr. Kleinsmith, who altered the document allegedly about Carter Page, where and the FISA warrant.
But you're talking about
these big guys aren't going to be
talking about hypotheticals.
Time's a wasting.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm concerned that the time is past. That winter was the time to begin prosecutions, and now it's going to be, oh no, you can't do it in the middle of the political season.
Well, Barr does
that's
not
why Judicial
have to
Watch
be a genius. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is why you got independent oversight. I mean, Judicial Watch is doing its FOIAs to try to get documents out. Grinnell did a great job in getting that unmasking material out. That didn't come out because of the Justice Department. The Flynn 302s and the hidden documents, exculpatory evidence, wasn't voluntarily released by the Justice Department. It was because Sidney Powell went to the Met for her client and forced the Justice Department to release it. And they still are sitting on the hands.
Let's focus on something.
Why haven't they? Go ahead.
I understand. This is a corrupt judiciary. This is a corrupt Justice Department. This is a corrupt FBI. This is, as the president famously said in his campaign for the office he holds, and by the way, as he contends against this conspiracy to overthrow him, he said, it's crooked. The system is crooked. You have an attorney general that's bright enough, I do believe, to understand that inaction is a definitive statement about the outcome in November that he is making. And that is that he will not stand up for truth, for justice, accountability, and do his damn job as an attorney general. He is sitting there talking about he doesn't want to influence the election. That isn't his damn job. His job is to bring justice and to prosecute evildoers, and he is surrounded by them.
And to be clear, there is strong evidence that Barack Obama and Joe Biden were involved in A, a conspiracy to obstruct justice, and B, a conspiracy to criminality. I think shows that the Justice Department wasn't interested in figuring it out to begin with.
Tom Fitton, you have been properly skeptical from the very beginning. Darn it is the nicest way I can say it. Tom, thanks for being here and all that you and Judicial Watch do. A great day on President Trump taking decisive action on China. The Trump administration is, as of now, beginning to confront the Chinese about their lies, their deception, their cover-up, and intentional conscious decision not to warn anyone of the deadly Wuhan virus contagion that it unleashed on the world. Here's what President Trump had to say over the past hour.
We had a great success going. Things were really going along, and then China gave us a wonderful gift, okay? And it wasn't pretty. It came out of China, just in case you had any questions. The whole world became infected by this horrible thing that they unleashed one way or the other. They could have stopped it at the source, and they chose not to. China should be held responsible for what they've done. They have hurt the world very, very badly. They've hurt themselves also, but they've hurt the world very, very badly. Yeah, they should be held responsible.
Just doesn't seem to understand, however, that they are now on the verge of full-on economic war with more than 120 nations who are aligned with the United States, who are demanding a full and complete investigation of the origins of the Wuhan virus and the actions of the Communist Chinese government. It is a push that President Trump enthusiastically supported and has led. He tweeted today, "We are with them," referring to those nations. Beijing is also paying a higher price for its actions than it has acknowledged in any form or forum. We learned today that China has sealed off some 108 million of its citizens in the country's northeast region. They are back under lockdown amid fears of a new and growing contagion of the Wuhan virus in that region. The virus also has created a disaster economically for China that has been shielded mostly from the world, but new data shows in the month of January and February, China's industrial production dropped 13.5%. Retail fell more than 20%. Fixed asset investment fell almost by 25%. President Trump is also working with some members of Congress, trying to draw up a plan with incentives to help American companies move away from supply chains in China. I know it's strange that they would have to create further incentives after going through what we all have in this country for the past 5 months. That would be an additional blow to China's already now weak economy. The Trump administration is pushing Taiwan to the forefront of discussions While the president hasn't yet suggested he will recognize, for example, Taiwan, it is certainly not unthinkable given the level of conflict between the United States and China, a level that seems to be only rising. Joining us tonight is Congressman Jim Banks. He's a member of the Republicans' China Task Force, as well as the House Armed Services, Education, and Veterans Affairs Committees. Congressman, good to have you with us. This is a clear and obvious pivot toward meeting the challenges that China has put before us head on. Are you welcoming the new, more spirited and direct president?
I appreciate the president's leadership, Lou. As you know, we have been in an economic war with China all of my life, and we've been in a soft power competition with China for decades. President Trump is already the first president to acknowledge it, to do something about it with better trade deals. And now with coronavirus bringing to light how much of a threat our economy's entanglement with China's economy is, the American people are demanding more out of our leaders, including the president and myself, other members of Congress, and the president is reacting to that in a way that I greatly appreciate.
Yeah, I think that we have all both acknowledged and appreciate the president's leadership. It is also, though, I think very clear that some of his advisors are trying to move him in a different direction. For example, suddenly, after saying that he would consider withdrawing all funding, the White House makes it known that there will be partial funding. This is, to me, outrageous. Either it's almost a repetition of the Huawei sanctions. There is a half-hearted approach by parts of this administration that are in such great conflict amongst, as a result of the conflict, among some of his top advisors. It's unseemly. It is not good policy, and it's sure as hell not what this president ran on when he was elected.
No doubt, Lou, there are some members of the administration who have not served the president well when it comes to addressing the China threat. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the president, and he's fallen through on he's come through on so many of his promises to hold China accountable. But this is becoming quickly a binary choice. You're either with China and the Chinese Communist Party, or you're with the United States of America. And what's become painfully clear to the American people is that when it comes to Republicans and this president, we're doing something about it. We're focused on the China threat. That's why Kevin McCarthy set up the China Task Force. We invited Democrats to participate with us, and they chose instead to retreat away from doing anything about it at all, because they're far more focused with attacking the president and turning a blind eye to the China threat than they are doing something about it. And that's why I'm glad that the president recognizes that further funding for international organizations who are also entangled with China's interest to the detriment of the United States, like the WHO, do not deserve United States taxpayer dollars. And the president gets that as well as anybody. That's why I think he's made clear that he's on the right side when it comes to withholding funds.